Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Mink, the President has expressed historic confidence in the Air National Guard by nominating General Kane to be the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. That's never happened before, to have a chairman of the Joint Chiefs come from the National Guard. And I wonder if you could talk about, if you could speak to the importance of the Air National Guard and the overall Air Force mission and the priority of the Air National Guard and what that will look like on your watch.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Senator, and thank you for the opportunity to speak offline. Yeah, the Air National Guard is critically important. It is a significant portion of the department's capabilities across the board, from tankers to fighter aircraft. It will continue to be an important part of the department, and we need to continue to support and work closely with the states and with Congress to make sure that stays so.
Yeah, on that note, as you know, the Air Force is shrinking. We're not buying enough planes to keep the force at its current size, but that means that the Air Force carries that the Air Force reserves and the National Guard carries a greater priority in the mission. How can we ensure that the Air National Guard is getting its fair share of new fighter aircraft?
So, Senator, one of the things I plan to do, and again, is take a holistic look across all the modernization activities to understand what we need from a numbers perspective, how fast do we need to build, both to support the active duty and the reserve units. And then I will advocate for whatever that requirement is, or whatever the capability is, and whatever the resources that are needed to meet the requirement, both up to the administration and to Congress.
Well, I appreciate that. I look forward to working with you to make sure that the Air National Guard doesn't get the short end of the stick like it often does. Dr. Mink, your first Air Force assignment was flying KC-135s at Grissom Air Force Base in Indiana. Can you talk about how important the effort is there and why it matters not just to Indiana but to the country and our national defense?
Yeah, so this is probably an area I'm a little bit biased on since I started my career in tankers. But it has always been critical, both from a strategic nuclear mission as well from a conventional mission. One of the reasons we were pulled off of alert and sent to the Gulf War was because tankers were not only necessary for the strategic mission, but they were just critical for operations that were going on in the Middle East. So yes, the tanker force has been and always will be, and to some degree, I think it's becoming more important given the Indo-Pacific theater, where the ranges are even longer than what they are in some of the other theaters. So we need to continue. We need to ensure that the tanker force, both active and reserves, are able to support mission.
Does it surprise you they're still flying the same planes there that they were flying when you were there?
I have to admit a little bit, but to some degree, not to dive too deep, but they'd essentially zero-timed those airplanes when I was active duty when they re-engined them. So it was almost a brand new airplane effectively, but it is still, it's 60-odd years old. That's still pretty old, even if you've done a lot of maintenance on them. So,
well, the Air Force refueling tankers are on average among the oldest aircraft in the fleet, and the Air Force isn't buying enough new tankers to replace the ones that we're retiring. The same goes for Grissom, the place where, as you said, you started your career. Grissom has a more than 2-mile runway, one of the longest in the United States of America. As far as I can tell, the Air Force needs new tankers for Grissom, which otherwise threatens to close down the base, and we would lose that runway, that important asset that we have. How should we be working to fix the Air Force refueler fleet?
Right now, the new tanker is the focus, right? We have to work with both within the government and with the contractor to get that program on track, to get the production rates up and drive the cost down so that we can afford to procure the tanker force that's necessary, both to expand and replace. As even though great airplane, Senator, you're exactly right, it is getting pretty old. We're going to have to replace those. Which means we need to get the new tanker into production, into full production.
Well, I look forward to working with you. Your background is perfect for this job. You have my full support. And to each of the other three with us today, I don't have time to ask questions to, but congratulations. I look forward to working with you too. I yield back.